Kia ora guys, welcome back to the Wholesome Half Hour. As per usual, I'm joined by Seren.
Kia ora, how's it going?
And today we don't actually have a theme, but instead what we're going to be doing is answering a whole lot of your guys' questions. So this week when we asked for your questions, they were like, all of them were so good that we thought we would actually spend a lot of time just discussing all of them a little bit more in depth.
Yeah, sometimes we get like carried away with whatever our topic is and we just like
slap the questions on the
questions, like cram it all into 10 minutes at the end. But no, we got like 6 awesome questions this week, so we thought we'd like give them some love and time.
Yeah.
So just like a little overview before we get in, we've got some questions on study snacks, externals, staying focused, endorsements, overstudying, and motivation. So we're going to be answering those. Before we get into that, congratulations to everyone who did the MCAT.
Proud of you.
Good job.
Well done.
It is over now. You can move on with your life.
You can forget it.
You don't get the results back for that until like
January.
Yeah.
With all your other NCA results.
You should literally just like forget about it and move on.
You will forget about it.
Yeah.
Repress it. I think it's a good, think of it as a good first like introduction to your first kind of like external experience. But yeah, just it's over for now. Use a lot of the content in the MCAT, just as an FYI, is really applicable for the external investigating relationships between tables, equations, and graphs. So remember some of that stuff if you've got some good notes on that. But other than that, just
move on with your life.
Move on.
Awesome. Another thing before we get into our questions.
It's spring, so we're eating ice cream.
Yeah, it's spring, so we're eating ice cream. That's really good. Gelato, Cafe Ice.
Shut up.
We go to Cafe Ice like every day before like
Seren
every
just
episode.
walked in and he said, "Oh, it's the third time you've been in today."
I usually get coffee, but their gelato is, I reckon they do like the best gelato / ice cream like that you can buy in Wellington. I reckon this is better than Ben & Jerry's. Even though it's like cheaper, like Ben & Jerry's, I don't know, like Ben & Jerry's is good, but I don't think it's like that good.
To be quite honest, I've actually never had Ben & Jerry's, so I can't comment. All I've heard is the hype, but like I'm not.
There's a lot of hype.
I'm not.
It's not bad,
big on frozen
but it's
desserts,
like very. It's like if you get like a fancy cone and stuff, it ends up being like a $7 or $8 ice cream. Oh, whereas this is like $4.80, and I reckon it's like better. So, yeah. Shout out Cafe Ice, please sponsor us. The actual thing that I wanted to talk about.
That wasn't gelato.
Was StudyTime workshops you can now book in if you want like a full day like revision workshop recapping everything for any of the exams. So we've got them on for most of the level 1 subjects, so maths, science, English, and then level 2 and level 3 as well. Go to studytime.co.nz/workshops. We have them running in Auckland, Hamilton, Wellington, Christchurch, Dunedin, and Palmerston North. And yeah, it's like a full, for each subject, it's like a full day workshop, an hour and a half on each standard. Recaps like everything for the standard. It's like a revision workshop.
They're really, really useful. We always get really
Mackenzie
good.
teaches at some of them.
Yeah, so I helped run some of them last year, and I'm also helped running some of them this year. So if you are going to any of the Wellington workshops, you might see me there. But they're really, really useful. And on top of the workshop as well, correct me if I'm wrong, I know this is what we did last year, students get like a workbook to go through in the actual workshop itself, as well as a summary guide that you get to take home with you as well. So it's not just the workshop, you also do get resources that you can refer to after. Yeah,
you get the full workbook and some other randomness. You get food, like snacks.
Is there?
Yeah, there's snacks. There's snacks. Or as the website copy says, like refreshments will be provided. You get like random snacks that we like. I'm pretty sure William just like goes to Newell like on the morning off and just like buys some stuff. Yeah. But yeah, snacks included.
Snacks.
And it's early bird pricing at the moment, so get in before the prices go up.
Yeah.
Cool. So we'll go into our questions. And speaking of food and snacks, what do you think are the best study snacks? This question comes in from Sophia.
Hi, Sophia. Best study snacks. See, I never got onto the big study snack train. I think it depends on the way you work. If you're using food as an incentive to work, you're obviously going to want food that you are going to want, but also isn't so huge that you would stop for a meal every 20 minutes. So if you could potentially do something like having a lolly after reading, like finishing your reading or finishing like a page or your chapter or however fast you read and however much motivation you need. If you're using snacks for like incentivizing yourself, then think of something that you would like, but something that's small enough that you're not actually going to like end up filling yourself up or anything like that. In terms of food that is good for study, definitely like your classic like long burning kind of nutrition. Like you probably don't really want to go on too much of a sugar binge because you're just going to spike and then drop. And same, you know, for energy drinks. A lot of sugar, gelato.
Yeah, definitely stay away from the sugary stuff because you're going to like have your energy like go in and out, which is not helpful, especially if you're trying to concentrate for a longer period of time. Good stuff like, the usual suspects, I don't know, like fruit, yogurt. I don't eat much while I'm studying. I guess if I do, it's probably like a fruit, like an apple or some grapes, something like that. Yeah, I'll often like have a drink when I'm studying.
Yeah, I think drinks are more like, and not even like just staying hydrated while you're studying, I think. And because I think quite often when you have food or drinks while you're studying, it's mostly to have like a 5-second distraction from your actual study. Like it's not really something that you actually like need. So if you
we're having a feast today, like the drink, the ice cream.
I know, I'm so here for
nice.
It. We will also be having ice cream next week as well because I accidentally paid for Sarah's.
I don't even know how this happened because the guy put it on 2 separate Air Force terminals. You tapped your card on one, then you walked to the other one and tapped it there as well. So thank you for the ice cream.
You're welcome.
I'll buy you one.
It's not free. No, but I think, so I think if you can have something like even just like a big bottle of water or something that you like sip on throughout, I think that is perfectly fine because quite often I actually don't find that I get really hungry during study. I think it's when you get bored of study that you start looking to food. Yeah,
I reckon water's great. I'll often have like, if I'm going to be working for a while, I'll often have like an iced coffee. That way you can kind of like drink it over like an hour or like sometimes I'll drink like literally like a cup of coffee this size but like over like 2 hours and it kind of like smooths out the like caffeine introduction. And it's also just like a little distraction, no sugar, that kind of thing,
I think as well.
Tea is also a good like no sugar option as well.
Always here for tea. I do think that if you are talking about foods, like if you wanted to talk about like meals throughout the day or something like that, definitely like just like balanced usual meals are fine. Like
not ice cream.
Maybe not ice cream. I do like, I know this is very underrated, but as a breakfast food, I don't actually eat breakfast. Crucify me in the comments. But that's probably not the best way to put that. Anyway, attack me at me. Anyway, is like I really love porridge. Like like I'm such a big fan of porridge. Like
fair enough.
I think it's so underrated. I think it's very much
I like
just
switch up my breakfasts. Yeah.
Some people are very like strict about their breakfast. Like one of my flatmates, I'm pretty sure he's had peanut butter on toast with jam for like the last 5 years of her life for breakfast every day without fail.
I like have the same thing for like a month and then I'll change. But then, there's an element of randomness. I didn't do breakfast for a while, but now I've been doing it again. I'll have like, sometimes I'll have toast with just butter because I'm boring, or maybe like a tiny bit of jam. I don't like it when people put like heaps and heaps of jam. I find that weird.
Yeah, so do I.
Sometimes I'll have like Wheat Bix. Sometimes, occasionally I'll make like waffles if I've got like heaps of time to get ready or something.
I think just don't overload yourself with sugar. I think don't go for foods that are going to spike your energy for only a wee while and then you're going to crash a lot afterwards. Because it just isn't guaranteed for like an extensive study session.
Don't mind me.
Odds on that being the thumbnail.
Oh yeah, sure, whatever.
I love that. Okay, I feel like we've discussed study snacks.
I feel like study snacks has got a comprehensive coverage.
Awesome.
Yeah.
Sweet. What's our next boy?
Our next boy is from Ruby, and
Hi, Ruby.
It is when should we start planning and studying for external exams?
Ooh, this is very interesting.
Yeah, so I guess there's like a few
strategies.
Few strategies or approaches. Shall we simplify it into two options and make it like the responsible option and the reasonable option?
Yeah, go on.
So I'd say the responsible option is to start like now, but like you don't have to go, like don't go hard.
You don't have to go handy.
Like if you're doing like an hour a day, like that's plenty. Just like an hour recap.
Even just
like,
half an hour.
Even just half an hour, yeah. That would be like an hour would be plenty. Half an hour would be fine as well. Like just like have a little bit of a plan and maybe like recap like one like particular topic within a standard like each day.
Yeah.
I guess the approach that a lot of people will do is either to start in the holidays or like immediately after.
Yeah.
Yeah, I would definitely recommend like at the latest starting like very early next term.
Yeah.
Otherwise you're just like, you can, if you start, the earlier you start, the more you can kind of smooth it out, right?
Yeah. I think my biggest piece of advice is don't start studying when study break begins, because you are only on study break for a week, and a week isn't, unless you've only got a minimal amount of exams.
Unless you've only got 1 or 2 exams, it's going to be really hard to revise for 5 exams if you start.
I remember in my first year of NCA level 1, I had 17 externals that I sat.
Yeah.
And so, I mean, I think that was quite a bit compared to the average student.
Yeah. That's, there'll definitely be like quite a lot of people that are doing like 17, 18.
Yeah. So I think that is definitely the higher end of it, but that's not something you can reasonably
you just can't
hope
revise
to
all of that
account
in
for.
1 or 2 weeks.
Yeah. I think also being smart in your study in the way in which, when it does get closer to the grind, which, you know, we'll definitely be talking about a lot more in later episodes, but, you know, like studying for the exams you have like most closely. That's not right.
Why don't you send me a Snapchat like right now?
I think that was supposed to be like ages ago.
Well,
like,
you weren't on your phone like right now, so I'll take your word for that.
But yeah, so I think just pace yourself. Do what's reasonable for yourself. Be realistic with yourself as well. Don't set these grandiose ideals. Because you're only going to get kind of upset or frustrated if it doesn't work out.
Make your goals like as simple and straightforward as possible.
Yeah, and I think
don't try to like revise 5 subjects every evening. Like,
I think if you're going to start now, that's really, really good. But I wouldn't really endorse going too hard at this point.
Yeah.
Like I think, like you said, like an hour, half an hour is absolutely fine.
At this point, I would max out at like an hour a day, unless maybe like 1 day a week you wanted to do like an extra day. But like, I wouldn't be doing more than an hour a day at this point.
To be quite honest as well, like
that would be like absolute max.
I know there are other schools that do it more, but at least in my school, year 13s had study periods. So even just like making use of the study periods as opposed to just like
going to
not doing your study in your study period like you have for the rest of the
Monopoly's on at the moment. I actually haven't been very much.
I haven't been
I've been a little bit. I've only been like twice since Monopoly started, which is like a low for me. I used to like every year I used to collect like a mountain of those Monopoly games.
Yeah, I never got into that. I've never been like big on the Macca's train though.
When there's like a Macca's like within like 20 meters off your school, you kind of like end up going a lot.
That's very fair. Yeah, that's a very fair evaluation. But yeah, like even if you can just like really begin utilizing your class time, your free periods and stuff in school. You know, you take the time to ask your teachers any big questions that you still have, you know, while you can. And that's something we will definitely talk about a lot later as well. But for now, if you're angling to start studying now, then half an hour a day would be ample, in my opinion.
I agree.
Cool.
Awesome. This one comes from Betty, I think.
Kia ora.
I presume I think it did. I'm just like, because like I like look at these on my phone and I type them up. Sometimes I like wonder if my like mind transferred the name correctly, but I think that's the name.
Tell us in the comments if it's not.
Yeah, sus. I think it is though. I don't know why, like I think I got it wrong, but Anyway, how do you stay focused for 3 hours, and how do you like re-energize yourself and stay energized in the 3-hour exam? So my first tip would be, this is not actually answering the question, but I'm just going to make the point. I would not try to stay focused for 3 hours straight unless it's in an exam.
Yeah. Even in your study, don't try that for 3 hours, because nobody can
take a break, take a 5-minute break every half hour, go
do a
drink
cheeky
some
Pomodoro.
water, drink some water, do some push-ups, go say hi to the cat. It's just you will get more value out of that 3 hours by taking breaks that, rather than trying to just go for 3 hours.
To be quite honest, if you can use your time well in an exam, you could probably take mini breaks in an exam as well. Depending on what the exam is, I think in my experience, the only time I've ever been pressed for time in an NCA exam was level 1 geography. And that is just for the simple fact that there's a skills paper and it's god awful. And I'm so sorry for anyone who's enrolled in it. No, I'm kidding. No, it's not difficult, but it's just very long.
Yeah.
And it's like maths. This probably sounds really bad. I usually test quite quickly. So in my past experience, I've been able to get through an NCA maths external in 20 to 30 minutes.
All 3 papers?
No, one external. One external, which is very quick. That would be my quickest exam time. And I answered all the questions. I didn't just through. Depending on what exam it is how you would frame your time. I think definitely go into your exams with a plan. So if you're discussing this 3-hour focus as though it is just for an exam, I think going in with a plan of attack is a really good way of going about it. How long you want to spend on each section, and being kind of very clear with those. Because and keeping an eye on the time.
And keeping an eye on it, because if you know that if say it's an exam where you think all 3 standards are equally challenging, so you're going to spend an hour on each of them, and you finish the second one and you've got an hour and a half to go, then you can kind of relax a little bit and keep going before you keep going. And I'd definitely encourage you to, unless you think there's a paper where you need to spend a lot more time, try keep the time as even as possible. Because there's nothing worse than realising you have 20 minutes to go and you haven't started the 3rd paper.
So definitely depending on the subject, frame your time. And also based on how you usually test. So, I mean, if you're in level 1, you might not have a crazy clear idea. Maybe the MCAT sheds some light.
Maybe the MCAT sheds some light. If you're level 1, I'd encourage you to maybe just try it as a one-off, do a practice external, no phone, no stuff.
I think. I think if this is a level 1 student asking this question, the environment in an exam room doesn't really allow for a lot of unfocusing. When everyone
you'd be surprised at how, especially if you know what you're doing, you'd be surprised how quickly the 3 hours goes.
Definitely. However, if you are a student who has gone through NCA before and you've found focusing difficult throughout, I do really recommend just going in with a plan and even if you open your exam booklets and have a read through them and see what questions you may be more confident with and what you're not, and answer things strategically, easing yourself in. Maybe if there's a question that you'd be really confident in answering, maybe do that first and try to get your head in the game. It's fine, Will. It's fine. It's not we're trying to record here or nothing. But be strategic.
I totally agree.
Was there anything else?
Not really. I guess practice. Don't try to stay focused for 3 hours, because that's going to be a hard thing and very boring thing to practice. But maybe try pushing yourself a little bit. See if you can stay focused for 40 minutes and kind of analyze what you can do to kind of keep you zoned in longer. And remember, in the exam room, distractions are kind of eliminated by force. No phones, you can't talk to anyone. Your sibling's not going to come in and try to talk to you. So the
biggest distraction is your wobbly desk.
Speaking of which, if you when you sit down at your desk, do an analysis of the desk, and before the exam starts, if it is wobbly, put your hand up, ask for some cardboard or something, because nothing will annoy you more than that.
Yeah, no, very good point. It's annoying for you and everyone around you.
Yeah. Quick question, this one from Elizabeth. How did you get an endorsement?
Is this like the logistics of it, or how?
I don't know. I think
let's
we'll
do
just
both.
Okay, we can do that.
We're gonna do
I was just going to be
Practicals.
lazy and do the simple answer, but we can do that.
Okay, so an endorsement at any level in NCA requires 50 credits at that level or above. So if it was merit, it would be a combination of merit and excellence. If it was excellence, it would just be straight excellence credits. So to pass NCA levels 1 and 2, you need 80 credits. 50 of which would have to be at the merit or excellence level to get an overall endorsement at that level. For course endorsements, you need 14 credits or above, 3 or 4 of which have to come from externals. So overall endorsements don't rely at all on externals. So at all my 3 levels, I had my endorsement before I even went into exams, and it takes a lot of stress off. So if you're also doing that, like thumbs up. But the singular course endorsements do rely on externals as well. How to get that? Well, that was weird. I'm so sorry.
How to get the endorsement? Obviously, it helps.
One more thing. Sorry.
Yeah.
Level 3 is 60 credits, 50 of which still need to be at that level.
Is that not the case with level 2 as well?
Level 2 is 60, but technically it's 80. 20 credits
20
are taken up from NCA level 1, and they're not excellence achieved or merit at all. They're just credits.
Yeah.
So technically, 60 still.
Yeah,
that's weird.
Anyway, how do you get the endorsement? Ideally, you start early in the year. But I guess if you really want it, it's definitely not too late.
You can get them through externals.
You can get them through externals. Obviously, it's going to be a lot more stressful, but especially if you're willing to start studying now and kind of ease in and slowly ramp it up as exams get closer, it's definitely an achievable thing.
Yeah, definitely. I think in gaining your endorsement throughout the year, I think keep a good eye on your credits.
Now's a good time to do a bit of a stock take and see where you're at.
Definitely recommend this, and not even to anyone who's going for an endorsement necessarily, but just in general, I think it's really good practice at this time of year to see where you are, how many credits you have, how many credits you still have available to you, and how many you have at each level. Because I think quite often as well, sometimes students discount getting an endorsement when they're actually a lot closer than they think. And I think sometimes even just being aware of that will give you that little bit more motivation, that little bit more of a push to actually
go absolutely. This is definitely the time to check how many credits have you got and how many are on your schedule that you still haven't been assessed for, and that way you can kind of see have I already achieved my goal? Am I very close to achieving my goal? Do I need to maybe adjust my goal or whatever? But especially if you're close but not quite there, if you work that out now, you can kind of very clearly figure out what you need to do to get that merit endorsement or excellence endorsement or whatever you're after. Now's definitely the time to do that, and then you can kind of say you need 3 excellence credits in physics to get your course endorsement, and that now's the time to realise that and start planning your study around getting that.
I think on top of that, at this time of the year, another really good reason to do that stock take. I'm trying to talk too fast. I think that's my issue here. But in terms of doing the stock take, it's really important for, I know at my school we at least had one where we had a resub week, where basically everyone had
Mm-hmm.
if there was an internal that they were really close with and they didn't do the resub at the time because they were too lazy, or they want to do an entire resit of an internal, that is the time that you can do it. And for a lot of students, doing it as an internal is much less stressful than an external because you know your grade straight away. And you can make a more accurate assessment of how to approach your exam, your exams process. Yeah,
this is it wasn't we never called it anything like that, but I definitely remember when I was at school, kind of this time of year or early term 4 was kind of the time where you could kind of go to a teacher and be hey, this got an M6, I'm interested in resubbing it and trying to get over that threshold and get that. E7?
I think another thing, just like a very famous story that I tell all of my students that they probably hate at this point, but in chem, I think it was in level 3, I think it was a titration standard. Oh no, it was year 12. I lied, it was year 12.
Yeah.
No, it wasn't titration. It was you had to figure out what the metal was in a solution.
Oh, is this the one where you follow like the flowchart thing? It's a level 1 thingy.
No, it's level 2.
Is it level 2?
It was definitely level 2.
Oh, maybe it's a level 2 thingy. No, it is a level 2 thingy. Yeah, you're right.
Anyway, for this standard, when I got my marks back, I got a merit, even though I got everything right. And I asked my teacher why, and it was because, now you guys haven't seen my handwriting, but Siren has. And the way that I write my A's, my capital A's is a small A, but just real big, like just a big small A. Yeah. And so that's the way that I do my A's. And the result was silver, which is AG.
Oh, no.
Yeah, you can see where this is going. So I spelled AG, and like the A was bigger than the G, quite clearly. But I got marked down because he thought that I had mislabeled it and like just not given the element a capital. And I said to him, oh, I'm sorry, that's just my janky as handwriting. Like, from there I learned to make it more clear, but he did like bump it up to an excellence for me because it wasn't a lack of understanding, it was a lack of
communication. If you are on the line, it's definitely like worth like going over those papers, seeing where like the error is. I know even at like university I have had like papers like marked where like the inside of the paper was marked correctly, but the points didn't add up properly. And like once at uni, I think I got moved like from an A, like a B+ to an A, just because like the marker didn't add up the score correctly.
Yeah.
So if you're like on the like threshold of a grade, it's definitely worth checking in on that kind of stuff.
Yeah, definitely. Yeah, the moral of the story is ask questions all the time. Don't get a grade back and just like shove it in the bottom of your bag to forget about. Inquire about it, and if you can bump it up like real easy. Like it literally took me like a 30-second conversation with my teacher. Do you know what I mean? And that was like 4 excellence credits that I wouldn't have had otherwise.
Cool.
So just for endorsements, make sure that you're being proactive, really.
Fantastic. Got a question from RV. Is there such a thing as overstudying? Short answer I would say is yes. I'd say it's more, I wouldn't use the term overstudying, but like if you like go too hard with a study, especially if you go too soon, I think like burnout is definitely like an issue.
Yeah.
As someone who had a very busy week last week, lol.
Yeah. I think in terms of like this idea of overstudying, it's not so, I think you do get to a point where you do stop processing as much information, and you know all the study techniques that us here at StudyTime we really endorse are ones that do encourage that you take breaks, like Pomodoro, Parkinson's even, blocked timing. Yeah,
and I guess like one thing that I'd say is also being like assess what you're studying, because if you're studying the things you're good at again and again, like you're not doing, like there's no value in that. Whereas if you're shifting your subjects and making sure you're constantly like looking at your weak areas and trying to up those, you're going to get a lot more value out of that.
Yeah, definitely.
And I'd also encourage you to use the best way to assess whether I guess you're overstudying or not is to, I guess I'd say 2 things, is to like do a past paper and mark it, and like do a past paper under exam conditions and mark it, and that way you know like what grade you're getting, and if you're consistently getting like whatever your goal grade is, like you've probably done enough study, you only need to keep doing enough to like jog your memory rather than trying to learn new content. And the second thing I'd say is like if you do something like you're doing something like flashcards, if you are getting all the flashcards right, like just like all you need to do is maintenance. You don't need to be constantly like trying to like learn that stuff again and again. You're not going to add any value by doing that. Yeah,
I think with this idea of overstudying, it's very much like linked to this idea of potentially not studying in the way that's most effective for you. And if you are studying in a way that is effective for you, you won't be overstudying because you're going to be continuing to do what is appropriate for you at that time, whether that be relearning, rehashing things that you're unsure of or missed in class, versus something like maintenance, which is obviously going to be much less involved. So My recommendation for studying, especially for NCEA, is to know the content and then know the system. Yeah. So be comfortable with the content and then definitely practice past exam papers, because there is such a format that NCEA likes. And
I remember, like, I've remembered situations in the past where, like, the external exam questions were, like, outrageously, like, similar to, like, the practice the previous year's exams. So, like, if you learn those and understand those, like, you've already, like, increased your odds, like, over someone who hasn't.
100%. So I think studying, I think for any system, there is sort of like two sort of sides to it, and that you are studying the content and understanding the content, which is 10 out of 10 the most important part. You know, you want to understand what it is that you are explaining. Just for you, and so you can answer the question, and also knowing how to format your questions for the system, knowing what NCA means when they say make so-and-so the subject, or
knowing the terms, knowing the units, knowing all those little details. Yeah,
knowing how to phrase a bio NCA question answer, which is, like, in my mind, the most notorious for being, like, the most buzzwordy, irritating way of ever doing anything. That's fine, I'm not bitter. But yeah, like, if you know how to answer the questions well and you have the knowledge for it, then after that it really is more just maintenance.
Absolutely. Cool.
Take account.
Our last question from Frerish is, how do you try your best when you're losing motivation and you're putting your time into things that are more valuable for you? So I guess we'll kind of, like, break this question into two parts.
Okay.
I'm actually first more interested in the second part, which is, like, you're putting time into things that are more valuable for you.
Do you want to address that part then?
Yeah, I'm just like
I feel like that is a bit of you.
Yeah, I think it's definitely, like, obviously, like, even if you have, like, passions, like, outside of school, which I hope most people do, like, I wouldn't, like, ignore school completely. But if you, like, feel like you're putting time into something that is more valuable, like, that's perfectly okay, and that's a perfectly all right thing to spend time on. I say this because I remember it was like a month or something ago. I had, like, an assignment to write, but instead of doing that, I, like, ended up doing,
like,
I can't remember what it was, but yeah, I, like, edited a video or something, and I was really, like I was in the mood to edit the video at that time, and I did it, and I was really happy with the result. So sometimes it is kind of good to, like, if there's something that's kind of, like, calling your name, just to, like, do it. Now, obviously, if the exam's the next day and you haven't studied, maybe that's not the best decision.
Yeah.
But, like, allow yourself some flexibility and definitely, like, allocate times to, like, do those things that you want to do and things that you may feel are more valuable for you.
Yeah, I think very much it's this kind of thing of, just because you have something from school or whatever institution that you affiliate with, doesn't mean that sorry, that was a weird word. It doesn't necessarily mean that it is the number one priority in your life, I think. I think that's what I'm sort of, and I think that that's something that we do struggle to kind of realise is okay. If we do have a hobby, or if we do have something else that we really like doing, there's absolutely nothing wrong in doing that as well. However, if you do feel like you are neglecting your schoolwork because of it, it might be is maybe just a readjustment of the amount of time that you're spending on each. And it doesn't mean that you have to cut what you enjoy out completely.
No, absolutely not. Yeah, I just encourage you to, like, take a look at, like, how you're spending your day, especially if, say, so you're up say you sleep 8 hours a day, you're up 16 hours a day, right? You're at school for 6 or 7 hours, maybe add another, like, 1 hour off commuting, maybe, like, another hour off, like, let's say 3 hours for, like, commuting, like, I don't know, like, spending time with your family, whatever. You've still got there, like, 9 hours, just, like, off, like, which you can do with what you want. So, like, if you realise you are spending, like 4 hours in the evening, like, playing Xbox, like, you can consider, like, using that time to, like you extend your study time a little bit, and then, like, instead of spending that time, like, all of that time playing Xbox, maybe, like, allocating 2 hours to, like, making videos or, like, making music or whatever, like, your thing is. yeah, because I definitely it's definitely like worthwhile pursuing those things. I wouldn't shove them like completely aside just to like ace your exams and be like, wow, I can move on now.
Yeah, I 100% agree. I think you sort of do really put it in context there with that, with you know, school and like the amount of time and stuff, and the amount of time that you actually do have, I think, is quite a bit more than what we think we do have. I'd encourage you just like for like 3 days in a like single week, like literally like note what you're doing at like every hour of the day, like make a reminder on your phone and like actually do it like as you're doing it. Don't try to like look back and like do it in hindsight, and you'll find you end up finding that you spend a lot of time like doing stuff that you just didn't account for, like on the bus, like just being on the bus, you might like forget how long that actually takes. Just like sitting on the couch like after school, like those things like actually end up like cumulatively taking a lot of time. We have it's like this it's called the optimism bias or something like that. I think it is
something like that,
where we are far more optimistic about the way we use our time than we are, or
it's a big issue in like planning projects and project management.
Yeah, because we think we can get a lot more done in a shorter amount of time than we actually
today
think
like
we can.
when I came into so it's 3:20 now. I get into the office at 8:30 on Mondays. I thought I could get through like these like 3 or 4 different tasks, but one task that I thought would only take a couple of hours ended up taking like the entire day. And that's like a really like common issue that people have when planning. People are very optimistic.
Very rarely do you have the opposite, which actually happened for me today. I had to finish an assignment. I gave myself 4 hours and I only really needed 1, which was amazing. Doesn't happen often. But so just be aware of that and maybe just take stock of the way you are using your time. I think a big offender in terms of eating up our time is just scrolling. Unless that is said passion of which you are discussing.
Turn your phone to the old black and white mode. I show this with my phone.
I did that.
Or you can also try things like Forest. It was good. When you get home, just put Forest on for an hour. Like you don't need your phone. Like when you get home.
100%. Or even just like put your phone away somewhere else for a while.
Put it on the other end of the house.
It's actually very liberating. I think it can be a little bit anxiety-inducing initially.
It is at first. It is very like at first, but after a while you get used to it. Especially if you're doing it like the same time every day. So I know like for me when I go to the gym, I like put my phone away and I like don't look at it for the entire time that I'm working out. It doesn't work if you use music on your phone, but when I go to like group classes and stuff, I'll do that, and it's like really good because like otherwise if I don't do that, I never have an hour of my waking day where I don't look at my phone. So it's quite freeing to like do that sometimes. And if you make it like a routine part of your day, even if it's just half an hour or an hour, and be consistent with that, it becomes a lot more easier to handle when you know like that's the time that you don't look at your phone.
Big yes. But and it was a 2-part question.
The first part was like, how do you
when you're losing motivation. So we're going to do another anecdote. So I have no self-control, and during study times, this was something I discovered in year 13. So it's something I've been doing for years now, which is like worked simply because I know myself. You don't have to be as extreme as me, but the biggest offender for me in eating up my time and me neglecting everything else in my life is binging TV shows. Now, I'm a binger. Like I am a self-professed binger. I am dreadful for it. And my solution to that is I don't watch shows while I'm studying. I only watch shows when I'm on holiday, either in summer or in my 2-week breaks. And that sounds extreme, but I will legitimately neglect everything in my life. I straight up don't at this point. Just because it takes up so much time. Unless you're watching something like week to week, that's fine. But if you have 50 episodes and they're all 45 minutes each, they're just lying there on Netflix. If you want to watch something that is like currently airing, in the sense that like you can't, like there's no option to binge, you have to wait for next week. And the other thing to do is like divert your like entertainment time, because like everyone like enjoys like a bit of escapism, everyone enjoys watching TV and stuff. Divert that to like one good option is like while you're traveling, like listen to podcasts instead, because like if you have like an hour commute every day, like you're like, instead of like listening to music, like divert your
entertainment time, listen to like a fun podcast, or like if you have like Netflix, you can like download it on your phone, right?
Yeah.
And like watch it while you're on the train, and then you've just like freed up an hour from like that you can use when you're at home, and you can use to actually do things.
Yeah, I mean, if you're strict enough on yourself to stop yourself after like 2 episodes, like big ups to you. If you have a secret, please
they
let me know.
really want you to stay. You know, they autoplay that next episode.
Oh, Netflix,
they want you to hang.
Netflix very much is like to me, are you still watching? And I'm like, yes, I am. I shouldn't be, but I am. Yes.
They'll like drop you right in at the beginning of the next show. You won't, they'll like skip the intro. They'll be like, you're going to keep watching now.
They know me.
And if you finish the series, they'll recommend another one and you'll keep watching forever.
Yeah.
That's their dream, eh? Netflix dream.
But for me, like, definitely if you're losing motivation because you would rather be doing another task, I think if it's something you're really passionate about and isn't mindless, like watching K-drama on Netflix like me, then just ration your time a bit better and just really take stock of it, like Sarah
and take security in the fact that if you set a goal of saying, today I'm going to spend an hour on study, once you do that, or say a better goal than spending an hour is like, today I'm going to answer these like 10 practice questions for the standard. Once you finish those 10 questions, once you complete your goal for that day, like take comfort in the fact that you have studied and you finished the goal that you set out to, and like it is now okay to do the other thing that you want to do. I
think another big thing is really actually maximize your time that you do have in class at this point, because I think it's like the opposite of the optimism bias in class. So we don't think we can get a lot done in class, and 90% of the time it isn't because we don't have the time or we don't have the resources, because technically in class is when we have the most resources theoretically. It's because we get distracted and we just talk to our mates the entire time. And this doesn't mean that you need to blockade yourself away and not discuss anything with anyone, but I think perhaps just making yourself a bit more accountable for the amount of work that you're actually doing in class. And if you do need to move, then move. Like, that's absolutely fine. But if you're really maximizing your time in class, you might not need to take as much time after school to work on assignments or to do some extra study because you actually did it in class. Yeah,
absolutely. No, I'd highly endorse that.
I think one of the biggest things that I've definitely learned, especially since going to uni, is in a school day you can get a lot done. A lot more than you think as well.
Like, it definitely, if I was to take like the university example, like if you show up to like lectures, like you actually focus on what the lecturer is saying, and you like take handwritten notes during the class, like you've done the work like during the class, and you can move on with your day, as opposed to people who sit on their laptops on Facebook and then like at the end of the day or at the end of the week they spend like 6 hours like going through lecture slides and making notes when they could have just done that
throughout the week,
and then it's done with. Like if you show up to class and you pay attention and you take good notes, like you're done. And you like do the work that you're meant to do in class instead of talking to your mates. Like you're done. You don't have to do it later.
Big yes.
Big yes. It simplifies your week and makes life a lot easier.
100% does. So I hope that helps you a bit.
No,
Is there anything else?
No, I think that's it. If you have any questions for us next week, or if you have an idea you want us to talk about for like a full episode, let us know in the comments below.
Yeah. So if you guys do have any questions,
comments below. Otherwise,
please
email,
put them in the comments.
Facebook, whatever.
Yeah, we love answering your questions, and you know, if we can give us some throughout the week and stuff, it would be really, really cool. And it means if you guys have any like big questions or something, we can do lots of research on it and give you some real good answers and tips and advice.
Awesome. Thanks so much, guys. Workshops, you can, if you were thinking about booking those, or even if you just want to look into them, studytime.co.nz/workshops.
We'll put a link.
We'll put
a link somewhere.
Congrats if you've done the NCAT, and we'll see you next week. Looking forward to hearing your questions.
Yeah. See you guys.
See ya.